So we're going to go over some of my dream snakes today. All of these snakes that we're going to be talking about today are destined to go in the reptile zoo at some point. You know, the one that we're actively building, very slowly but actively building. So let's just get on into it with the first snake. A black-headed python. Now I was tempted to grab some Woma pythons a little while back, which I said in a previous video. And I mean, Woma pythons are pretty similar to black-headed pythons, minus the black head and the absolutely insane bloody ticket price. Fuck me, black-headed pythons are expensive. Black-headed pythons go anywhere from 5 to 10 times the cost of a Woma python. Or at least that's what I see on Kijiji, which is the Canadian version of Craigslist, and within the Canadian market itself. That's the price they go for. However, Canadian money is quite fragile and tends to disintegrate when you touch it. Now, I'm not complaining. I get it. I get why the black-headed pythons are so much more expensive. I understand it, and I wouldn't begrudge paying it, but it is a factor to consider when getting a new animal, how much they cost, you know? And when you consider that building this entire snake room and this quadplex didn't come up to the price of what a black-headed python's going to end up costing me, so it's a little tricky to convince yourself to put all of that kind of capital into one animal when you consider what that money can do when used properly. Now, as I said, black-headed pythons are bloody similar to Woma pythons. Extremely similar. Some people may say they're not, but in reality they are real fucking close. So to be fair, I should just buy a Woma python, right? And then the black-headed python can come down the line when I have realistically money to burn. You know, wanting that snake is more of an ego thing because of the price tag that comes along with them. But a dream snake is a dream snake. It's going to happen one day. It's not going to happen today. Moving on. Second up on this list here, I know I'm doing list features, which kind of makes me seem like I'm copying other people, but how else do you talk about various animals without numbering them? You know what? We're not going to number these anymore. This is just going to be... Now, I don't script these videos, as some of you may know. The people who are, you know, long-standing with the channel. I just said that we're not going to number them from now on, and I have nowhere to go with that statement. I guess we're going to keep numbering them then. So, number 2, a vine snake. Now, this next one may seem a little out of place because this is a dream snake list, right? You think they'd be a little bit more extravagant than a vine snake, right? They're a little bit more simple, a little on the cheaper side especially. I mean, they're a lot cheaper than black-headed pythons, for example, and they're a lot simpler and a lot easier to get hold of, so not really the most extravagant kind of dream snake, right? So the vine snake may be a little bit of an underwhelming entry, but there's just something about those guys that I really like. I don't really know what it is. I'm being spied on. Hey bud. I love their grumpy little faces, that permanent sour kind of look. Permanent resting bitch face is what they have. I mean, I'd love to have one of these, have a female that is, and I want to call it Karen, just because. Let's be fair, you can't really call anything Karen nowadays, but a grumpy looking snake that looks grumpy but isn't really grumpy, that's the perfect use for the name Karen, because it's literally vetoed in every other which way now. You can't be calling your daughter Karen anymore. If you were to call your daughter Karen, you're just setting them up to be irritating little twats as they grow older. Like, that name's gone, we can't use it anymore. Give your kid a fighting chance, call them Bob or something. It's a girl, isn't it? Call it Bobina. I don't know, whatever the female version of Bob is. Now sure, vine snakes are not the flashiest, not the scariest, not the biggest, not the most beautiful looking snakes in the world. But I'm going to say it again, they've got that permanent resting bitch face, which for whatever reason I really like. Completely unapproachable. And I fucking love that. I like a snake that's got some confidence, even though it's kind of like hidden confidence, because in fairness they're absolute cowards. I'm recycling an idea I did for a lizard video, like literally 15 minutes before this one. This is some lazy riding if I've ever heard it. I guess I'm not riding, so this is some lazy thinking if I've ever heard it. I guess this is what happens when you don't script consistently, you just post up in front of a camera willy-nilly. Fuck's sakes, man. Third snake here, a Kenyan sandbur. Nah. Fucking kidding. Don't want one of those. The actual third animal is an Eastern indigo snake. The fucking daddy of North American snakes, if you ask me. The North America king cobra, you might call it. Or at least I've heard one YouTuber call it that. If you know who they are, good on you. If you don't know who they are, I am not about to tell you. But indigo snakes are legendary fucking snakes, mate. And they're on most reptile hobbyists, especially snake hobbyists, bucket list. Or their Mount Rushmore of snakes anyway. And I mean, who can blame them? They're big, beautiful, and love to cover you in shit. Okay, that last part's probably not the biggest reason, but it is something to be aware of. They are going to cover you in shit. But these guys are a dream snake for so many people. They aren't the cheapest snakes to purchase, which is why they're not in everybody's collection. I like a lot of things about this snake, but I have a real use for the shitting part. Now, before you think I'm some kind of fetish kinky twat, let me explain what I mean. This snake is like a ticking time bomb. This is what I see happening. You feed them a nice, good meal. You let them sit for a few days. When you have those stupid family reunions, which they fucking love here in North America, hand it off to that family member that irritates the living out of you. You know, the auntie that never remembers your name, or the creepy ass uncle who's always like touching things. You know, those distant relatives, the ones that you fucking never see because you don't like them. But give this snake to this irritating family member and let the pod bay doors open.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Now don't actually do that, by the way. That was just a complete made up bullshit thing I just said now. Don't do that to the family members that you dislike. Do what I do. Just fucking ignore them and don't invite them. Next up, number 4. What is it? Is it Chinese blue beauty snake or just the blue beauty snake? Can't remember. The blue beauty snake. Whatever its actual full title is. To be fair, I don't really care what they're called. I want one regardless. I mean, I currently have a beauty rat snake. Ah, fuck. You haven't met him yet. I wasn't supposed to really tell you that. I've hinted at him throughout some of the videos if you've been watching all of them throughout the channel, which if you're watching this, why the hell haven't you watched all the others? But you haven't met him yet, so stay tuned. He's coming up in the future. He's the snake that goes on the top of the quadplex. But blue beauty snakes, or Chinese blue beauties, or just Chinese beauty snakes, whatever, in my opinion, and you know what they say about opinions, they're like assholes. Everybody has one. Some are just more... No, we cannot say that. We're already a restricted YouTube channel with the language that I use, meaning it doesn't get shown to as many people, but if I say what I was about to say, we may be a YouTube channel that no longer fucking exists. So let's just move on from that. But the blue beauty snake, I have no fucking idea where I was going with that one, lad. But the blue beauty snake is a truly beautiful snake. It's very rare to see blue kind of within the reptile kingdom, right? There's a few animals that have it, but very few. Now the blue beauty snake gets a decent size. I don't think they get quite as big as the Taiwan beauties. Ooh, I could have made a joke about Taiwan and China, but we're going to reserve that. Sorry, a lot of this video is me telling you jokes that I'm not allowed to say. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and trust me, I have experience with Asian rat snakes. They're not like North American rat snakes. They're fast, they tend to be bigger, and they have attitude. And I imagine the blue beauty snake's going to be no different. It's going to be a beast that requires taming. So I'd have to work with this snake, otherwise you're just going to be piss and vinegar the entire time. But I'd love to have one of these in the future. They're not that pricey of a snake, especially when we consider some of the other snakes on this list, like the Eastern Indigo and the black-headed python. They're probably approaching similar price to the vine snake. They're also pretty easy to keep, so I foresee that being a snake that we're going to get on the channel a lot sooner than any of the others on this list. Drum roll, please. Future Matt, please don't make me look like a dick and just sit here in the quiet. Please don't do that. Put the drum roll in, not crickets chirping. Don't piss me off, sunshine. Good thing this is the last entry, because as you can probably tell, I'm struggling here. An Egyptian false cobra. Now, I only learned about these snakes about a year ago and instantly loved them. Now, what some of you may realize is that on this list of dream snakes, I don't really have anything venomous. Now, I don't like keeping things that have the capability of killing me, which is why I'm single. So this is about as venomous as I would be looking to get. Now, they're not a real cobra, they're a false cobra. But like I said, they're venomous, but the venom is mild, so it's not really anything to be that worried about. However, do your own research if you plan on getting one. I haven't done cool research, so I don't know entirely. I believe the venom's quite mild, but I don't know how mild. But it's a long time till I'm actually going to be getting one of these, so I don't really need to do the research right now. But if you plan on getting one, do some fucking research. Don't rely on all the information that you get from someone sitting in a room on YouTube. Don't do that. Now, one thing I do know about this snake is that they have some attitude. And I like snakes with a little bit of attitude. I like a little bit of fight, a little bit of feistiness. Can't be all simple like a corn snake, that's boring. I like their coloration, I like that they're going to be sassy, and I really like the way that they look. So this is like a perfect snake for me. Not now, but in the future, it will be a perfect snake for me. Everything I'm looking for. I don't want there to be the risk of death. So in my mind, this snake feels like a bit of a middle ground. Now, I could obviously do a bucket list made of 100 snakes, maybe made of 200 snakes. But these 5 snakes are all realistic in terms of size and in terms of where I want to go more recently in the future on the channel. So the 5 snakes on this list are much more attainable, and they're the snakes that will most likely be purchased first as the newcomers within the snake room. So once we finish building beautiful enclosures for all of our animals currently, this bucket list of 5 snakes are going to be the first snakes that we get new into the collection. Let me know down below in the comments which one of these 5 is your favorite, or, and whichever one of the 2 you wish to go for, what your dream snake is.